expert is here, the lady, the professional who knows it and who you should listen to. Opal Lee, good afternoon, my friend. How are you?
Good afternoon, Vernon, and of course, good afternoon to your wonderful listeners. I'm doing well. I hope the same for you.
Did I see you somewhere there in Rome,
In
jumping
Rome,
up?
oh, with the new Pope.
Yes, I'm sure I
Oh
saw
my
you.
gosh. Yes, I was one in the blue dress.
I love the color. Quite interesting. I must tell you, I have a concern. When they have not chosen a pope, they have black smoke. But when they choose a pope, you see
Uh-oh.
white. I have a problem. This color thing, I always have a problem with that color thing at all. But so the new pope is Pope Leo. You know the whole thing about black magic, black book, black mail, everything bad is black. And then to top it off, you have black people.
Exactly, all the black markets,
Black
black markets.
blackout
Yes, the only thing that's good, I guess, was
when you're in the black. In terms of the bank. Anything new on the
well, there's a lot going on, a lot that's new
yes?
on the immigration front. Whereas what we're seeing are like people who have been going in for their adjustment applications. If everything does not go well, they may find themselves being placed in removal proceedings. Meaning you're going
Okay.
to interview. Normally something is not right, Vernon. They would just tell you, okay, it's denied, and then you won't be forwarded to removal. But now we're seeing that is becoming a thing where even if you're going for your citizenship and your application is denied and then you have some criminal record, for example, it may
Yes.
very well land you in removal
Okay.
proceedings. And so it's becoming, it's just becoming very, very bad. Of course, it's still no new news about people still being placed in removal proceedings for, not even having, if you don't have a criminal record, it is still going on. It is still rampant. And so people just have to be very mindful of that. It is now where you need to register if you're a permanent resident, or even if you have landed in the United States and you were not issued an I-94.
Hmm.
You're going to spend 30 days or more. You must now go ahead and register, and if not, there'll be a penalty for that. And finally, I see the Trump administration have been sending out some huge bills to people. I don't know how some people, I see one of my colleagues said her client got something for $1.8 million that a person
Jamaican?
has US dollars.
For
I don't know
what?
how they expect some people are going to pay this, because what happened is that for every time that you remain in the United States after you've been order removed, they're fining you per day, for example.
What a
And
thing?
so, right. And so, even though some people said, oh, well, they will never get a $1.8 million from me, or 1 million US, where am I going to get that from? But, we never know. What if later on they try to garnish your wages, for
Seize your
example?
assets.
Exactly.
Hmm.
So that is something that's very,
Oh,
very,
by
very
the way, there
troubling.
was talk about accounts being frozen. You hear quite a bit of information on social media that I try to advise my listeners to be very careful of the information you get on social media. Quite a lot of it is really misleading. Have you heard anything about accounts being frozen?
Well, I have
No.
not heard about accounts, and I mean, I could see that it's going to be
Hmm.
it's not just so straightforward. They would have to, of course, apply to the
Yes.
courts and everything before they will get that warrant, or that order, I should say, to freeze someone's account. But I've not heard about that regarding social media.
Well, at least that's good news. That's why I keep telling my friends, traditional media and those of us who you can trust and rely on, listen to us, because let me tell you something, Oprah. Quite a bit of fake information. I've been telling people about a classic one. If you heard about this new leader of Burkina Faso, that's Ibrahim Traore, there's so many stories going around, and all these stories are just made up by people who are trying to make some money, some really fantastic stories, and they are well written, but people are falling for it. So I'm making a special appeal again. Stop listening to information all over on the internet. Persons are sending information, creating excitement so they can get likes and they can do well on the internet and become popular. Don't listen to them. You stick with a program like this one. You listen to Opal Lee. And all the years I've been working with Opal Lee, I'm still, it's not a way, wish bad luck on it, but I know she'll work on luck. Opal has never ever given wrong information. So when you have someone who is test, tried and proven, stick with them. Over to you, Opal.
But that is definitely true, Vernon. Everything that you just said is quite
Yes,
true. But one thing I have to tell us before we leave though is
yes,
that people must still be very careful about what they do have, since we're talking about the social media, about what they do have on their phones entering the United States. Because yes, it is subject to search. And if they go through, and if you decline to let them search your phone,
yes.
they can confiscate the phone and do whatever they
Oh,
need to do to go in.
because you're not in your territory. People need to understand that. Sometimes when we go to another country, we want to demand our rights, but you have to understand the rights you have in Jamaica are not similar to the rights that you'll have in a foreign country. So the talk about this by phone, you can't take it. No, no, you're in a foreign territory. Different laws apply there. So that is something we probably should remind our listeners about, right?
That is absolutely true.
Yes, because
That's
in
definitely true.
Jamaica, I don't think the police have the right to just take to demand your password as such. They have to get a court order. So just remember that when you're in the United States, the law is
Different
quite
things.
different there.
Different.
Right. Anything else you want to share? That so we have another probably 4 minutes left.
No, that's the most. That's the thing. That's nothing else, Vernon. But that's where that is for
What
the
about any
immigration
advice?
policy.
Even advice you have given us before, though, because don't forget, you gave an advice last week, and by this week we have forgotten it. So any final advice you want to give us before you
Well,
tell
maybe
us how to make
something that I
contact?
would tell them is that, yes, what I would tell them, if you are a permanent resident and entering the United States, please, or if you have left the United States, I should say, please remember that permanent residents should not be outside the United States for 6 months or more. If you spend 6 months outside the United States as a permanent resident, whenever you try to re-enter, you're actually reapplying for admission. And so it will be a different, you have to go through, it's going to be a different rules. And
Yes.
not only that, if 1 year passes, they may confiscate that green card and terminate your permanent residence.
And
So that's another thing to be
I remember
mindful.
some of that you told me. You don't just go to the port of entry and hand in your green card like that. You mustn't do that.
Right, never ever sign that I-407. So, which is I-407 is when they're asking you to go ahead and give back the green card. So, of course, some people might have something going on for them. If Jamaica is your country of origin, it might be a reason why
Yeah.
you're in Jamaica for that extended period. So, if you have very good
Mm.
reasons, just say, on the advice of counsel, I would not want to sign anything. And so, if they take the green card, just you have your day in court where you can present whatever evidence to show that you were outside the United States for reasons beyond your control. And you can provide
Right.
that evidence to the judge. But that's it, Vernon.
Another quick one before we go. I gather that on social media, but I have to make it clear because persons believe everything they hear on social media. They're quicker to believe the source rather than the facts that you give. That for those undocumented people, they are willing to leave the States, that the United States government will be giving them 1,000 US. Have you heard about that?
It is there. It's not. It's in the works. Of course, we heard Donald Trump basically tweeted that says he's going to be given $1,000 if you go ahead and leave. So it's But remember, we also talked about that gold card if
Yeah.
you have the millions of dollars. So that's it. It's all in the work, but nothing yet
Nothing
set in stone.
concrete. Okay. All right. Tell us, hopefully, how we can make contact with you. We must wait until it's too late. We should have that number with us. So if you're at the airport, in trouble somewhere, you can call immediately. Go ahead.
Sure. So it's Opal Lee. The phone number in Jamaica is 876-854-3599. That's 876-854-3599. In the United States, it's 954-358-2020. That's 954-358-2020. Thanks as always, Vernon. Have a wonderful day.
And thank you. And I'm sure you know, country talk, they say what? Shortcut, draw blood, but
Blood,
long cut,
exactly.
draw sweat. And so be very careful. And they say that the fake news will take off and make trips around the world. And the truth hasn't even had time to put on its pants. Those who have ears to hear, let them hear. Next week, same time, same place. Opal Lee will be back with us again. All the best. You have a wonderful afternoon. You take care, my friend.